Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome to today's program. We're glad to have every one of you out there watching because we need to educate as many people in the American population as how we, as normal Americans who happen to like and enjoy firearms, how we really are, and certainly how we respect and treat firearms. This is so important, and we have got to get our message out. Incidentally, we need you to join our Shootin' Show Gun Club today, if at all possible, because it helps us stay on the air. It's a tremendous help to this program. And two, we have so many very fine people that have joined with us, and we really do need everyone's help. Well, we're going to start today's program with an AutoMag 5 and 50 Action Express, and we have our volunteer ferocious water jug out there. And let's see what this big 50 caliber 325 grain hollow point looks like when it faces a severe test of an attack water jug. Well, friends, we're looking at a large semi-automatic handgun today. I say large, larger than we're probably normally used to seeing. In fact, for its power, it is not a large gun. This is the AutoMag 5 from the good folks out at AMT in Irwindale, California. And I really want to compliment them on the way this gun has turned out. This is a more or less limited production model. One, it's a fairly expensive gun, but it is certainly something that is worth considering if you like the ultra-powerful semi-automatics. Now then, it is not that much bigger than, say, a Colt government model that we're used to seeing. A lot of us are very familiar with. And this is what's interesting, because you have a cartridge that has 3 to 4 times the muzzle energy of the 45 ACP, literally, in a package that is not that terribly much bigger than the 45. And it's really interesting. Of course, it has a double compensator system. I say double, it has 4 holes in the barrel, a compensator hole on each side there in the slide. And I'm really impressed with this gun. Now, the 50 Action Express is, of course, our largest diameter handgun cartridge. There may be some specialty cartridges out there, some old black powder cartridges, but what I'm talking about, what we can normally buy today, normally see today. Now, the 50 Action Express, to give you a little rundown on that, is available from a couple of different companies. We have some Spear Lawman ammunition here, and I really don't think, why they call it Lawman, I don't know, because I really do not think that the 50 Action Express is ever going to be a police type cartridge. But of course, their Lawman series is a very fine brand of ammunition. We have 2 types available. We have the 325 grain jacketed hollow point, and we also have some ammunition from Samson, which is the Israelis, in the 300 grain jacketed soft points. Now that's what we have out here today. Now the 50 Action Express is a rebated rim cartridge. We'll take a closer look at that in a few minutes. Now friends, a lot of us have seen the paper ballistics on the 50 Action Express, and I think that some of us have been a little bit misled, because when something new comes along, well, it's suddenly better than anything that's ever been. Well, that's not necessarily true. And you've heard me say this on the program before, because we had a 50 caliber Desert Eagle a while back on the show. Anyway, the 50 Action Express is roughly equivalent in power to the absolute max. There are going to be some 44 Magnum loads that will approach it. The 445 Super Mag is probably a little stronger than the 50 Action Express. It's going to kind of be a toss-up there. It is not a 454 Casull, and it is certainly not some of J.D. Jones specialty calibers, but as far as what's available commonly in revolvers and semi-automatics. Now, it is, however, a very fine, solid hunting type cartridge. I would think that the 325 grain jacketed hollow point would be a superior 50-yard deer cartridge, or 75 yards, whatever, as long as you can reliably hit your deer with whatever you're shooting. Certainly it would kill a deer at 100 yards, of course, but I'm talking about ease of trajectory, and we're going to be looking, in fact, we're going to compare the 50 Action Express on a future program to the 445 Super Mag. The good folks at Wesson have loaned us one for a short time. Anyway, The 50 is a larger hole, of course, but as far as sectional density or the ballistic coefficient or efficiency of the bullet in flight, it's not going to be as good, say, as a 300 plus grain 44 Magnum, because one, it's wider, it's going to catch more air. And we'll compare these in just a minute as far as let you looking at the actual size. It is a very fine cartridge with a certainly within its useful characteristics will be a tremendous gun to have along with you on a hunt, or as a backup gun certainly on a big game hunt. That's one of the neat things about this AutoMag 5. It's really only weighs 46 ounces. Well, heck, the government model weighs 38, and I was concerned when we got this thing out of the box. I said, well, wait a minute. I remember how that Desert Eagle kicked, but for some reason, and maybe it's the compensator, this gun does not have as much perceived recoil as the Desert Eagle. Now, the Desert Eagle, of course, is a very finely made, engineered gun. I think you're going to find the AutoMag 5 is a little easier to shoot for longer periods because it just doesn't give your wrist the snap, at least in my opinion, in my hands anyway, that some of the others do. Now, Grizzly also makes a 45 or Win Mag series, which they upgraded into a 50 Action Express, and I hadn't seen one, hadn't shot one of theirs. I don't know much about those that particular model. Anyway, let's let you take a look. This is a 6-shooter, by the way. It holds 5 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. And reliability, we've shot this gun here a good bit, and the reliability's been good. This is not an amateur's gun. This is an enthusiast gun, because one, to deal with the recoil and the general operating characteristics of the gun, you need to be somewhat familiar with hard kicking handguns. Now then, if you have a 44 Magnum, say in a Super Black Hawk or one of the great Wessons, something like that, or whatever you got, I wouldn't run out and sell my 44 just to say, well, the 50 Action Express is so much better. But this would be an addition to someone's battery if they really want a large cartridge. We chronographed these bullets. The Samson 300 grain bullet actually came out of this gun at about 1,300 feet per second, about 1,160, 70 foot-pounds of energy. The 325 grain Spear Lowman exited this 6.5-inch barrel here at about 1,150 to 1,175 feet per second, so a little over 1,000 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. Now then, these big bullets do have more momentum, say, than a 240 grain or so 44 Magnum, but as far as sheer power, it's just not that much advantage over, say, our 44 Magnums and 445s, also the 454 Kasu, which it is not as strong as a 454. But anyway, it's still a very fine, useful gun. And let's take a look at it in action here for a moment. It was definitely tough on that water jug, wasn't it, a few minutes ago? Take a look at it in my hands anyway. And yes, I'm checking my hearing protection. I always wear hearing and eye protection here on the range. And yes, this thing is loud. So take a look at it. Pull that slide. As you know me, pull the slide all the way. It does have a good spring too, but slide all the way to the rear. Let it go. Okay. And our safety is on. Take a couple shots with it. We have 5 in the magazine. Yeah, that's like I said, not for the amateur. Now then, friends, looking at our AutoMag 5 here, you can see it has the extractor here in the side of the slide. A very nicely made gun, excellent millet sights. Here's your safety over on the left side. Down is on, up is off. The folks at AMT could really be proud of this gun. Now see the compensator. See, we have 4 holes here, 2 on each side, and this really does serve to assist in keeping that muzzle down. Now that's probably what makes the gun as shootable as it is. It is a large handgun, but not for what it is, for the power this thing has. It is not that terribly large. We have a safety that is a hammer block or a hammer block or firing pin block. Now the safety is off. Of course, we know we only look at these guns when they're unloaded like this. Okay. To put the safety on, you'll push the lever down and it literally blocks that firing pin. Now then, regardless of whether the safety is on or off, the hammer will still fall if the trigger is pulled. if it's cocked, just remember this. This gun will also fire whether the magazine is in or not if the chamber is loaded. So you can still drop the hammer. If I was going to carry this gun loaded, what I think I would do, I would have it safety on, hammer in the down position, and if I wanted to use it, I would go ahead and cock it and push the safety off, I think, if this were my gun. Anyway, very nice package. Large magazine, of course it has to be for those large cartridges, 5 and 1 for a total of 6. All right, friends, let's take a close-up look at some of these cartridges. This is, of course, the 50 Action Express. This is a 44 Magnum, and you can see there's quite a bit of difference in the diameter here, the 50 Action Express on your right and the 44 Magnum on the left. Now, oddly enough, these things have the same rim diameter. The 50 Action Express is a rebated rim, and this was done, I think, in the Desert Eagle because they could use their same part of the slide there, the bolt, the face, and just all they had to do to chamber for this bigger cartridge was enlarge the chamber. But it is a good system. It does work. It's been in use for a number of years by other gun companies. And here is a 45 Winchester Magnum, which is a rimless design, and you can see the difference here in the rim size. My goodness, sure looks a lot bigger than a 45, doesn't it? And of course we have a 45 ACP just for comparison to let you look at the size of this big cartridge. So it's definitely big, isn't it? Friends, this is a most unique handgun, one that if you want the largest caliber auto loader available, and this gun is apparently pretty accurate. We have tried it out 25 yards. It'll go into 2.5 inches or so. You may hunt around and find a better load that may do better than that. I really want to compliment the folks at AMT. They've really done such a nice job on their machine work, and this gun has functioned well for us. I would think this would be a superior deer gun with the hollow point bullets, be a good hog gun. Those of us that like to hunt wild hogs, we have some pretty healthy ones in our part of the country, and I would think with the jacketed soft point, this would be a terrific hog gun. I think that you could hunt around with different hand loads, different combinations, and see what your particular gun liked and really have a lot of fun with it and certainly some hunting success. Anyway, the AutoMag 5 50 Action Express from AMT. And incidentally, someone wrote in about what is behind us here on our shooting range. Well, we have one of the better places to shoot, from my way of thinking, in this part of the country. We're down between two very steep hills, and that brings up another good point. Never shoot unless you know what your backstop is, you know where your bullet's going. And the good news is on either side we're in a very isolated area down here on the farm, and there's no danger of us hitting or injuring anyone or anything in any direction out here. So, and of course we always wear shooting glasses because there's no need in anybody hurting anywhere when they leave the range. Hearing protection, eye protection, if you've heard me say that many times. Okay, we've got a couple of water bottles out here. Let's wind up our 50 Action Express here. See how it looks.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Hello friends, I'm out here practicing for one of the most fun hunting sports
that you can imagine. You can use a variety of action types. You have access to year-round hunting, some cases no limits, and you get to use a variety of guns. Well, you know what I'm talking about is the sport of varmint hunting. And we need to introduce you folks to varmint hunting. A lot of us have been doing it for years and didn't know what to call it, but we especially need to introduce you to the Varmint Hunter magazine.
You know, friends, varmint hunting is one of the fastest growing shooting sports in the world. In fact, the Varmint Hunters Association, they have members in all 50 states and 19 foreign countries. Now, their magazine focuses on varmint hunting and super accurate reloading and shooting techniques. Plus, there's a lot of humor, a lot of interesting cartoons and humorous articles in the magazine. Incidentally, the magazine is large, it's very high quality, and something I think you're really going to enjoy reading, and it's published quarterly. It's only $24 for an associate membership in the Varmint Hunters Association. And look, for information, now you ought to do this. If you're a dedicated shooter, this is something I think you're really going to enjoy. For information on the Varmint Hunter magazine and the Varmint Hunters Association, call them at 1-800-528-4868. Again, 1-800-528-4868. Be sure and tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show. You know, friends, a while back at the SHOT Show, there was this man standing in one of the booths there as we were walking down the aisle there in this gigantic building, and he says, hey, come over here. Hey, see what we got. Well, of course, here we are with our camera, and I tell you what, this is Richie with Hunt All Enterprises, and they have a unique product. Now, you saw this a while back. We showed you this on our program, and, of course, they're based in Connecticut. Is that right, Richie?
Right.
And he was down here through our neck of the woods, and, of course, he is a master at showing this tri-tote. It's a gun carrier. Of course, it'll carry a bow. It'll carry a fishing rod or whatever else.
Right.
And Richie's going to show us just how these things work, and, of course, he's going to tell you how to get one. A lot of people out there would like to have one of these things, and, of course, nobody can show you better how to operate it than Richie.
Well, it's really easy to do. You don't have to be proficient at it. It's that simple.
Well, now, I did find that out,
Yeah,
yes, because
right.
I immediately took it and we demonstrated it here, and I said, hey, there's something to this. This really does work. It's a good product, too. It's well made. But, Richie, I'm going to let you just show us how this thing works.
Okay. Tri-tote's real easy to use because all you have is a hook on your waist and you have another hook on a strap. Okay, so all you're doing is you're hanging your gun up like you would on a peg gun rack. There is never anything attached to your equipment when you use the tri-tote. Okay, you just set the gun with one hook behind the trigger guard and the other hook on the barrel. To use it, you just push in on towards your chest, pick the gun up to shoot it. Basically, you got 7 different positions anywhere you want to range the barrel of the gun by just taking it off. It's a piece of Velcro strap onto a Velcro shoulder pad. You just put the gun into it, pick it up and shoot it any way you want. I know a lot of people like to walk around with their gun over their wrist. In this position, tucked up under your arm, it's real comfortable, except it breaks your wrist. Set the gun with the hook in front of the trigger guard, and you got the same position, except your hands free always. And what you want to do is you can take your trigger finger right at the trigger guard, pick the gun right up off the pod, and then you got it ready to shoot. Okay? The other position that you have is when you set the butt of the gun right on the hook on the side, and you can just hold your gun for field shooting in this manner, or you can just rest it back on your shoulder, shrug your shoulder, hit the gun, catch it, and the gun comes up. It's that simple to use. A lot of people like to go out riding on their four-wheeler and their ATV or climb into their deer stand or drag their deer. You got a securing strap that just peels back. All you do is set it on the barrel of the gun, wrap the barrel up, and you have a little securing loop down here on the pod. Okay? You take that and you secure that right over the hook of the gun, so you're securing the top and the bottom. You can ride your four-wheeler, you can climb your tree stand in this manner. If you'd like to pull out your deer, you can open your waist belt up, drop your right hand down through your straps, bring your left hand back up through it. The gun immediately goes on your back. buckle it up, take away any of that slack. You don't want that. Just readjust it. Pull it up tight on your back, and that's the most secure back carry you'll ever have. You can drag your deer out any way you want to drag your deer out. Climb your hands, use your binoculars. You're always hands-free with the tri-tote.
Well, you know, Richie, I was so impressed with the way the tri-tote is put together. It is all high-quality materials. Your hook here for your barrel is covered in plastic. This is really a really nice product.
Vinyl here, vinyl, stainless steel core, injected molded, nylon.
All right, and the good news is, if someone would not remember how you did this today, an instruction tape,
Yes,
simple as
exactly.
can be, comes with each one of these tri-tote soles, right?
That's right.
And it's real good. You'll see Richie on there showing it over and over. It's very simple, very easy to use. Now then, we're going to give a price on this today.
Yep, it's going to be a special for shoot and show people only.
Okay, shoot and show people on.
Yes, sir. Instead of $49.95, $38.50.
Well, great. And we have an 800 number, too.
That's right,
And
we
we're going to
do.
give that in just 1 second. Now then, friends, for information or to order one of the all-season tri-totes, call them at 1-800-231-1443. MasterCard or Visa, $38.50 plus $6.50 shipping and handling. This is a special price for our Shoot and Show audience, so please identify to them that it is, you did see it on the Shoot and Show. This is an excellent piece of equipment a lot of us would like to have, friends. 1-800-231-1443. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're enjoying our program so far. We've got a lot of ground to cover. And as you're viewing this next Thursday night, in fact, we'll be in Las Vegas at the Soldier Fortune Convention, and I'm sure we'll be having a great time, and hopefully we'll get to meet a lot of you out there. Please, if you're at the convention, please find us. We will have a booth there, and we'd like very much to come and meet you. If you are a Shoot and Show Gun Club member, you will get a 10% discount on the entrance fee for the convention. You'll get, I believe, $1 off or so at the in entrance for the convention floor when you can come in and look at all the exhibits. That's one thing, Judge. There's going to be so many exhibits of different companies. We will be displaying some of these Wesson guns. I believe Elizabeth Saunders and American Derringer, they're going to have a display there. Just a lot of neat things. We're going to have a 45 Win Mag carbine, which ought to really be good, and certainly be looking forward to whoever we can find there. Well, sir, I think you have a lineup of things that you need to tell us about this week.
Well, Johnny, as usual, I'm interested in the political angle, because if we can't get some changes in Congress, we've got 2 more years of the same kind of stuff, and the damage that can be done in 2 years is just almost incalculable. So it's
now,
important.
Brady 2 is already in formulation, right? The Brady.
Brady 2 has been introduced, and it's a vicious bill, and the president will push it just like he did Brady 1 and just like he did the crime bill. And incidentally, it's interesting to note that the crime bill was so important, was going to stop crime, and it was going to really do something right now. Got to vote on it now. Can't wait till after recess. And Clinton takes off and goes on vacation, doesn't sign it. Hadn't signed it yet, as I understand. Yeah, so if the bill was so all-fired important, why did Clinton take off? Actually, the bill was designed to hurt firearms owners, to hurt members of a group that are primarily against him, and to help welfare stateism and all of that kind of thing. Now, so I'm interested in the politics of it, but I've also got some information for you. Gun Owners America sent me some information. How does a crime bill affect you? Well, when does it take effect? It takes effect when Clinton signs it. Do I have to turn in my firearms? No, not yet. The bill doesn't apply to things that are lawfully possessed on the date of the effectiveness of the law. How do you know if one of your firearms is affected? Well, there's a list of approved firearms in the bill, and the approved firearms have a presumption that they're okay. But there are a whole bunch of guns that are not listed as banned that will be that will be banned.
Well, around 200 is the count right now.
Something like that. Will I allowed to keep my firearms magazines that exceed 10 rounds? Answer, yes, as of now. Must my magazines be registered? No, you don't have to register magazines, and the law states that the lack of a serial number on a magazine is a presumption that it was manufactured prior to the effective date of the bill, of the law.
Now, let's do mention that in the Brady II legislation, which is the second version of the Brady bill, that they're already formulating now, they're talking about registering magazines, am I correct?
Yep.
A whole lot of things. Plus, in the health care bill, realize that Schumer, I believe it's Schumer, has introduced a 10,000% tax on hollow point ammunition. Now, wait a minute, friends. Again, that $15 box of ammunition is going to run about $1,500. All right, we put up a pretty doggone good fight on this particular what we've been doing. We've been fighting against the crime bill. We've been fighting the assault weapons ban. And in fact, if you ban assault weapons, you're going to have to take them away from the military because the average citizens have never had assault guns. But friends, we've got to, and we're going to be talking about elections in just a moment, we have got to take some of these people out who are in Congress, some of these senators who are up for election. They've got to be brought home.
Well, you don't need many changes in Congress, so it's important for you to get out, get yourself registered, and just please vote. It does matter how you vote. All of this balderwash about it doesn't matter how you vote, just vote is bunk. Now, I got some information today for the 4th Congressional District in Louisiana. A lady Republican named Patricia Slocum is running for the House of Representatives, and she says on her platform, opposed to any form of gun control. And that gets it pretty definite. This lady's a fine lady. She's aggravated, and I don't blame her for being aggravated, because she happens to live in a district that was gerrymandered for the purpose of electing a, quote, minority race member to the Congress. And she says she's had enough, and she's going to make him work for his living, and maybe even beat him, because there's only about a 10% variation in the number of white and minority voters in that district. But this is a fine lady. If you live in Louisiana, and if you've got a few bucks to spare, send Patricia Slocum, S-L-O-C-U-M, a campaign contribution. Post Office Box 1897, Denham Springs, Louisiana. That'll get it to her. And if you are in doubt about anything, send it to us. We'll see that she gets it. I sent her a donation myself today. Now, other politics. Senate seats that are up for election this year. Coppersmith, a Democrat, running against Kyle, K-Y-L, a Republican in Arizona. The Republican is a favored man. In fact, in almost all of these races, I'll tell you, to favor the Republican in the event of doubt, because the Republicans voted about 80-20 against the crime bill, whereas the Democrats voted about 90-10 for the crime bill. So that there is a difference in the parties. People that tell you there's no difference in the Republican and Democratic parties are just feeding you a bunch of baloney. For our listeners in California, please work against Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Please.
Please do that. She's the author of the section of the crime bill that put all these gun bans in. Get her off of the backs of the rest of the country, and maybe she'll run for some position in California where all she'll do is be on the backs of Californians instead of those of the other 49 states.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Now, friends, we're looking at two of the finest small handguns that I'm aware of. These, of course, are from American Derringer Corporation. On your left, you have the Model 1, which is available in over 50 chamberings, and on the right is their double-action Derringer, which is very similar to the old high-standard design, except it's been modernized. This particular one is in the 38 special chambering. Now, friends, sometimes it's hard to have a large handgun with you, but you can always have one of these American Derringers. Call them 1-800-642-7817. Friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902, their phone number, area 402-463-4589, MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923.
Senator Mack in Florida. He's unopposed in a primary. The fact is, that was on September 6th, so I guess he's already won it. But he's a Republican, and he won by a narrow squeak 2 years ago. He ran for an empty seat. And please support Connie Mack, a fine man, a wonderful Republican, a wonderful senator. I could give you lots of others here. I'd be delighted to, but just take it from me and trust me on it. If you've got any doubt about it,
Well,
really vote for the Republican. Oh, I got a nice letter from Ollie North, and Ollie has finally committed himself firmly and definitely on the gun control issue. He says he's not going to vote for any gun control measures. He's against them, and he's in favor of repealing the ones that are there. He's got Rob. In fact, he's at 4 of them in that race. North is a Republican candidate. Rob is a Democrat candidate.
Governor Wilder.
Governor Wilder
Candidate.
has called himself an independent and is running. And there's another one that the senior senator from Virginia, Senator Warner, is trying to edge into the race. So you got a full-way race there. And that's not a primary. The primaries have been held. So you may very well end up with a candidate getting 35-40% of the vote and ending up being senator from Virginia. Remember, the President of the United States only got 43% of the vote, which incidentally was exactly what his predecessor from Georgia had, and he called it a landslide or a mandate.
Yeah, Jay. Oh, listen, let me add one thing. Senator Kennedy's coming up in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, but he hasn't got any opposition to the Democratic Party. I don't know if he's got any opposition to the Republican Party or not. I hope he does.
Well, I'd like to add that we have a tremendous number of viewers in the Northeast, and our recent trip to Massachusetts, we met some of the finest people in this entire country. Hey, folks, we need to do something about Senator Kennedy needs to go home. He's got plenty of money. He doesn't need the job. You know, let's see if we can't get somebody to run in this man's place. I mean, let's let Senator Kennedy have a furlough somewhere else other than the Senate of the United States.
Oh, we've got a couple of others, too. In Pennsylvania, Santorum, a Republican, has against Wofford, a Democrat. Wofford voted against us. Santorum says he'll vote for us. He's a good man. We've got one in Ohio. What's his name in Ohio?
Slovenic?
Joe Slavonic. Okay. Slavonic, I may be pronouncing that. I may be butchering it up. And he had to register as an independent because both the Republican and Democrat candidates are unacceptable. In Texas, Kay Bailey Hutchinson has redeemed herself. She voted against the crime bill and voted in favor of a filibuster. She voted all the right ways. Maybe she has seen the light. We certainly rode her back a little bit hard about it. In the first place, we don't have any alternative. Fisher, the Democrat opponent, is avid anti-gun and is totally against us. So it's better to have Hutchinson, who votes with us every now and then, and so far right now, fine, than it is to have somebody that's going to vote against us all the time. Plus the fact that the most important vote they will cast will be the vote on the organization of the Senate, which is the first day, the first vote that they have. And to vote and have the Senate organized by the Republicans is going to be very important. I might add that the same thing occurs in the House. it would certainly be wonderful to have a Republican Speaker of the House and thus be third in line to the presidency. Things do happen, and I don't know that the Speaker of the House has ever become president, but they made the provision, so there it is. Don't forget Patricia Slocum. This is a great gal. She's out campaigning hard. She was in Shreveport the other day. The newspapers haven't given her a bit of publicity. The television stations haven't given her any publicity. I'm just appalled that of the bias that's shown in the media. We've got one other thing to boost. Oh, two other things to boost. Don't forget the Gun Owners of America. They are keeping us informed. Great organization. Send them the price of a box of ammunition. It would help. Join their organization. You can do it through the shooting show, and it'll cost you $10 if you do it that way. All right, I want to give a boost to the reprint, bound, 100 and some odd pages, almost 200 pages, of the report of the Subcommittee on the Constitution on the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. That was done in 1982. It's long been out of print. I think the liberals would like to keep it out of print, but here it is. It's been reproduced by Mr. M.E. Schwanbeck, S-C-H-W-A-N-B-E-C-K, in HC 32. I think that means rural route. I don't know how they got that in Arkansas, but Box 16, Marcella, Arkansas. If you didn't have a pencil in your hand, send it to us. We'll send it to him. It's $20. We'll absorb the postage in getting it up to Mr. Schwanbeck, and Mr. Schwanbeck says he'll absorb $1 of the cost because it's actually costing him $21 to produce it. You know, I wish I had the time to go over all of these Senate races. I don't have a total breakdown on the House races, but I do have this one on Patricia Slocum, and I really would like to see that gal get elected. Both our Louisiana senators have always voted with us on gun control or against gun control. Until this time, when the president twisted their arms or they got mentally aberrated.
Well, they sold us out. They literally sold us out.
But they don't come up for re-election. One of them in 2 years, the other one in 4 years from now. And there are already a bunch of petitions floating around to call for the recall of one of them. So please, make sure that you know who your senators are and what they have done, not what they say. Register, then vote. And if you got to give up a day of hunting, give it up. It may be the last time you get a chance to do it.
Well said,
all
sir.
yours, Johnny.
Well, you're exactly right, Judge, because 200 of these guns that have just been banned, or as soon as the Clintonians actually put this into effect, as soon as he signs the bill, a lot of these were hunting guns, a tremendous number. A lot of them were collectible guns that no criminals, I'd like to know how many crimes have ever been committed with a Steyr AUG, or a BM-59, which were
None.
None at all.
Absolutely none.
Absolutely none. The reason they want this, friends, is they know that the citizens can still stand up to the military and the police when they want to take over this country. Now, that's what it's about. They've got to be stopped, and we can still do this by voting. We can literally get the results here without something horrible happening in our society by going down to the polls and voting. Our people feel, most of the people in this country feel just like we do. The problem is getting them down there to the polls, making some of these politicians responsible. Friends, we've got to do it. We don't know how much time we have left. We have to do it. And please join the Shootin' Show Gun Club today because it helps us stay on the air, certainly. So anyway, back to our...
We had an inquiry from one of our readers, one of our listeners, that wanted to know about details about this stuff of Soviet troops and United Nations troops in the South. Mm-hmm. And we hope to gather some information, some hard information on that at the Soldier of Fortune Convention, and we'll give it to you when we get back. We don't have any pictures. I don't have any positive proof, but I'm scared to death of it. I'm just scared to death of it.
Well, I saw some pictures last week. We don't show things like this on the program until we can absolutely document them, and doggone it, we're going to try and find out about it. You know, friends, it's rare in any field of manufacture that one particular company has a clear-cut advantage over the others. Well, in this case, it's Corbin Ammunition, Corbin Bullet Company, because they make the best handgun, long gun, and even some specialty caliber ammunition that's been real hard to get in the past. If you really want your handgun or rifle to perform at their absolute best, you need to find some Corbin ammunition. For information on where you can get Corbin, information on their product line, call them. Corbin Bullet Company, 1-800-626-7266. Again, give them a call. It's a free call, 1-800-626-7266. Trust me on this one. Corbin is the best there is. You know, friends, this Colt 45 or something equivalent, I think, is extremely important for self-defense. But let me tell you about another kind of defense. How about mental defense? We need to know what's going on in this country, and trust me on this one, there is no better publication to do that than the New American Magazine. It comes every 2 weeks, twice monthly, and of course they cover subjects that we need to know about. They cover all sorts of issues, from the gun issues to what's going on in Congress to all sorts of news items from all around this country and around the world for that matter. Things that are absolutely essential to us as conservative, gun-owning Americans. We need to know this. This is a tremendous bargain. It's $22 for a 6-month subscription. And I'll tell you what, friends, you'll read the New American, and you're going to get angry, you're going to get mad, but you'll also find out what you need to do. You're going to find out facts that you will not find in any other organized news media publication. But trust me on this one. These people, we know them, and if they say it, you can take it to the bank. It is, in fact, true. And that brings up their 800 number. You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE-TRUE. And those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on. And in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Friends, you can communicate with the Shootin' Show on CompuServe now. Our number is 735-42-3024. Again, 735-42-3024. And to join our Shootin' Show Gun Club, call us at 1-800-895-7916. We take Visa, MasterCard, check, money order, whatever you got. Join today, friends. We need to reach as many people as we can.
The idea of using the forces released upon discharge of a weapon in order to cycle that weapon dates from the 1880s. You have been exposed to some of the major designers, such as Maxim and Browning, and to one of the two basic systems, recoil operation. Using these ideas in the infantryman's rifle was either beyond design capability or entailed a heavier weapon than most nations were willing to tolerate. Consequently, on the eve of World War II, all nations but one were equipped with basically the same rifle they had used to fight World War I. Like this British Lee Enfield, or this German 98K, there was basically no change. They were bolt-action magazine rifles that were loaded using stripper clips. I said this was true in all nations but one. That one was the United States. Development of a semi-automatic rifle had been receiving attention in the United States since World War I. The Browning automatic rifle was originally intended as an individual's weapon. After the war, Colonel Thompson, the inventor of the Thompson submachine gun, also fielded a design for a semi-automatic rifle. His design was complicated, had a very long receiver, was not very robust, and not really satisfactory for an individual semi-automatic rifle. Pedersen, the designer of the Pedersen device of World War I fame, also designed a semi-automatic rifle. He used the toggle action very similar to the Luger pistol for his rifle. Though much closer to what the Army was looking for, the Pedersen was, for a number of reasons, also not satisfactory. John Garand, a designer at Springfield Armory, stepped into this arena in the early 1930s. By 1936, he had combined a few ideas of his own with some basic ideas from Pedersen and with the Browning gas operation system. The result was a rifle that, even though the Army designated it the M1, would forever be known as the Garand. The rifle used a gas operation system. Here's how it works. After the powder begins to burn, it generates gas at extremely high pressure and propels the bullet down the barrel. As the base of the bullet passes a gas port, a small amount of gas exits the port. This gas goes into a cylinder mounted underneath the barrel, where it further expands, pressing on a piston which rides in the cylinder. This piston is machined onto the end of the operating rod. The operating rod's other end has a cam follower slot cut in it, and this fits over a corresponding cam projection on the side of the bolt. The first fraction of an inch of movement of the operating rod allows for the time it takes for the bullet to exit the muzzle and gas pressure in the barrel to drop. The cam follower then strikes the cam at an angle, driving the cam up and unlocking the bolt. It then carries the bolt all the way to the rear, which extracts and ejects the old cartridge case. At this point, the energy in the operating rod has been spent in opening the bolt and compressing the operating rod spring. The spring now takes over, driving the bolt and the operating rod forward. The bolt picks up the next cartridge, feeds it into the chamber, and as the cam follower pushes the cam downwards, the bolt locks and the rifle is ready to fire again. This entire operation takes about 1/10 of a second. The Garand feeds from an 8-round N-block clip. It is descended from the Mannlicher N-block clip of the 1880s. In the Garand, the N-block clip is staggered double column, but still works exactly as Mannlicher intended. The rifle provides the magazine follower and follower spring, which pushes the cartridges upward so that the bolt can get to them. The N-block clip provides the feed lips, which hold the cartridges in alignment so that the bolt can push them into the chamber. After firing the last shot, the weapon begins to cycle normally. As the last cartridge is ejected, the magazine follower also ejects the now empty N-block clip. The follower rises to the limit of its travel, tripping a lever and locking the bolt to the rear. The soldier then takes his next 8-round end-block clip and presses it down into the rifle from above. When the clip locks into position, the bolt is released, chambering the first cartridge, and the rifle is now ready to fire again. This weapon obviously has some great advantages over a bolt-action rifle. Let's take a look at the Garand firing against a bolt action. The bolt will have 2 targets each at 80, 185, and 330 yards, while the Garand will have 3 targets each at those ranges. The winner of the race will fire on a stationary target at 680 yards. Perhaps that wasn't very suspenseful. On the chart, it looks like this. The combat range is exactly the same. This is because both the bolt action and the M1 Garand fire a full power rifle cartridge. The volume of fire for the Garand is quite obviously greater by more than a factor of 2. But the differences between the 2 rifles are a good bit more than what you see. It is the placing of the face and hand back on the stock, what some people call a stock weld, and reacquiring the sight picture that takes the time with the bolt action. In fact, it takes more time than the actual working of the bolt itself. The great advantage of the M1 Garand is that for the 2nd through the 8th shot, you do not have to do this. Reacquisition of the sight picture is extremely simple and fast. This is what gives the M1 Garand its higher volume of fire. Any fool can fan his finger inside the trigger guard and rip out 8 rounds in a couple of seconds. This is not effective fire. When we say 32 rounds a minute for the Garand, we mean a well-trained shooter using a sling to help stabilize the weapon in recoil and using a stable position, prone or sitting, and putting every bullet where he wants it to go. At the longer ranges, the M1 Garand is just as accurate as any bolt-action rifle. At first glance, the Garand's aperture sight does not appear to be adjustable for range. This is not true. The elevation knob on the Garand rear sight serves double duty as a ballistic range drum. After the weapon is zeroed for the individual shooter, the drum is loosened and re-indexed so that the battle sight arrow is pointing to the 0 mark. Whenever the shooter wants to fire beyond his battle sight range, he estimates the range to the target and turns the elevation knob until the range as printed on it is lined up beside the 0 mark. The sights are now adjusted for that range and the shooter can fire. The M1 Garand was certainly the best general-purpose battle rifle used in World War II. Given the scope of World War II, it is difficult to isolate an incident in which the Garand's superiority over a bolt action is clearly demonstrated. We originally intended that every rifleman be armed with an M1 Garand. This gave our squads a much higher volume of fire. After-action reports from numerous small unit leaders consistently cite this increased volume of fire as a major factor. There were, of course, some places where the M1 Garand probably should not have been issued and used. In this jungle, for example, a submachine gun might be better. In most areas, particularly in North Africa and throughout Europe, the Garand was just the ticket. It was, as General George S. Patton said, the greatest battle implement ever devised.
You know, friends, Colonel Alphin, whom you've just been watching, has the great A-Square Company in Bedford, Kentucky today. If you'd like information on their tremendous line of rifles and ammunition, give them a call at area 502-255-7456. Friends, for information on the Soldier of Fortune Convention in Las Vegas, remember that's going to be the 14th through the 18th of September, you can call them at 1-800-800-7630. Again, 1-800-800-7630. For information on the terrific, fabulous Sands Hotel, understand Wayne Newton's playing there now. He is, as we speak. Sands Hotel, their number is 1-800-634-6901. They'll be happy to send you a brochure. You can get information whether or not rooms are available for that week of the Soldier of Fortune Convention, but the Sands Hotel would definitely be a great place to go if you go to Las Vegas at all. There's so many fun things to do there. Again, the Sands Hotel information, call them, get them, send you a brochure. 1-800-634-6901. Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time for today's program. From Kurt, the judge, myself, we want to thank everyone for being with us for today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Shooting Show.